arrangement your legs are in, just make sure posture itself is stacked really tall. And you're allowing yourself to even make sure shoulders are slightly rolled back. And if the head tends to hunch forward a little bit, pull the ears slightly back. So it's almost like you're hooking your chin over a hanger. It's that nice alignment. The head gets placed directly forward. And I'd like to connect us with a 3-part yoga breath while we're getting started. So first thing, place one hand on your belly. And I'd like you to just take nice slow breaths, feeling your belly expand outward when you take your inhale. And with your exhale, belly comes back in. Just a couple of breaths, experiencing the breath going clear down into those low lobes of the lung. So one more cycle, in and out. And then place one or both of your hands on the side ribs and take a couple of breaths, experiencing your breath push your hands outward. This is breathing more into the middle lobes of the lungs. It doesn't necessarily have to be a fast breath, but we're really trying to experience the depth. One more breath from that spot. And then place one or both of your hands on the collarbones. Now you're going to try to experience the breath pushing the collarbones up. Your hands don't rise very much, but it's, about 1/2 inch or so, just a slight lift. So breathing into this area is breathing into more of the upper lobes of the lungs. Usually when I'm focusing just on this area, my belly is doing the opposite of what we started off with. It kind of tends to push in to allow my chest to rise a little bit more. So it's almost like an inverted breath. And so as we're breathing into this section right here, we're going to take a moment to realize that most people tend to breathe into one of these areas. They either breathe with their belly out, with their side ribs going out, or with their chest rising. So that's the natural tendency, is to kind of make it easy, just taking on one of these. So in yoga, we talk about a full breath, or sometimes we say a deep breath. And what we mean is trying to fill all 3 parts of the lobes of the lungs. So it's making it so the whole lung gets oxygen and then the whole lung gets to come out. And so the way that we start practicing this feels segmented because we have to focus on belly and then side ribs and then collarbones, and then starting to connect all 3 parts of it together. Eventually you can get to the point where it kind of smoothly fills up all 3 at the same time and then comes back in. It's like you're filling up an airbag, just a huge expansion to all directions and then coming back in. So what I want us to try doing now is connecting at least the first and the second parts. So perhaps one hand on the belly, one hand on the side ribs. And the first thing we want to fill is the belly pushing out, and then the side ribs out. So try to fill both of those. So inhale belly, and then side ribs. And then exhale, side ribs come in first, and then belly comes in. And feel how already this feels like a deep breath. You don't have to go fast, but it's deep. And then perhaps the hand on the belly moves up to a collarbone, just because the belly is easy to fill. Let's see if we can take all three parts. So the first thing that should happen is belly out, and then side ribs out, and then collarbones lift, and then reverse that. Collarbones down, side ribs in, belly in. When we focus on deep breaths like this in yoga, this is called pranayama. So it's prana means life force, and yama is the movement of that life force. And so it's like we're inviting extra vitality into our body. Breaths like this would be extremely helpful to practice at least twice a day, at least 10 good breaths in the morning and in the evening. So your body gets that chance to have extra oxygen happening a couple of times. So our idea as we travel through class today is to, not in every single pose, but in many of the poses that we'll get into, I'll take a moment to have us pause and take the 3-part yoga breath is what I'll call it. And so we'll be in a stretch. You'll be feeling the breath going to all 3 parts. If you ever need to have a hand join on one of the parts to make sure you're feeling it, that's absolutely fine. So at least for this 1 hour today, we're filling our body with tons and tons of oxygen. And so from here, as we're starting some of more of our physical stuff, let's allow ourselves to work into the neck first. So let's drop the right ear over the right shoulder. We should be feeling the right part of the neck stretching out nicely. Sometimes it's nice to take the left hand and just hover it off to the left. That would accentuate that stretch, pulling it even longer. Working some of the tightness out. And then as the head starts to roll just slightly in front of the shoulder, turn the nose downward. This reconnects us to the muscle that goes it connects up to the backside of the ear. So that long muscle that kind of pops out, we're stretching through that one. And then as you drop your left hand down onto your thigh, continue to roll the chin all the way down to the chest. Feel how it starts to shift into the muscles on the back side of the neck. Head rises back up to start. And then the jaw rises upward just to stretch the thyroid on the front of the throat, not to crunch the bones on the back. So sometimes if I jut the jaw forward, that helps me feel that stretch. Good, and then as you release, your head is back to neutral. Drop your left ear over your left shoulder. And maybe the right fingers reach out to the right this time. Head starts to roll slightly in front of the shoulder and the nose turns down. If it's not quite hitting it, continue to readjust until you feel that long muscle that connects right up behind the ear. And then release the right hand down. Continue to roll the chin down to the chest, getting that stretch on the back of the neck again. And then and the head starts to rise upward. It's always nice to start with the neck. When we were a baby, the first thing we started to muscularly learn is to lift the head up. And so that head builds tension because the head's actually quite heavy. But now here the neck feels a little bit looser, a little bit longer. So let us have our hands hovering off to each side or grabbing onto the sides of your chairs, whatever's working better for you. And this next movement feels a little bit like a penguin. We're going to let ourselves slide down one side. So maybe your right hand slides down first. You're feeling the side rib stretch on that left side, and then sliding back up, take it to the other side right away. A nice exhale anytime we dip down. Inhale anytime we rise. Following the speed of your own breath. Can be nice to let the head tilt to that side as well, just adding on to what we did just a minute ago. And let's take each side 3 more times. Beautiful. The next time you're up, slide the hands to the back of the chair and start allowing the heart to travel forward into an arch or in a slight back bend. If the neck doesn't like lifting up because of the cervical spine, those bones in the back of the neck, you don't have to. It can be at neutral, but at least let the heart go forward. Head only lifting if that's okay for the neck. Try out one of the 3-part yoga breaths here. Notice how it's a little different when you're arching the spine. And then after you exhale, head comes up, spine is back up to neutral, hands can go onto our thighs. We're taking a cat-cow movement. Know that you don't have to trace all the way down to your toes. But essentially, as we slide the hands down, it's like a railroad track. The spine is allowed to completely round. This should feel good, especially after that huge arch we just took. When you're ready to slide back up, the hands either stop at the knees or continue all the way up to the thighs to take an arch. Whatever way helps you arch better. Good. Your own pace to slide back down. I like to take this at a breath pace. The exhale when I'm traveling downward. The inhale as I travel back up to arch. Feeling the spine come a bit more alive each time we do this. Whatever pace you're traveling at, let's take 2 more. Sliding back down one more time, stay. This one will feel like a child's pose. If it feels like it's easiest to keep the hands on the legs, that's okay. If If you'd like to bring a block around to place hands on the block, or even walk hands all the way down to the floor, that's okay as well. The neck can be just heavy, or you can rock it around, just rolling it left and right. And then walk the hands up to the thighs, and then press into the hands to help support your spine on the lift up. So from here, make sure you're sitting more toward the front of the chair. This makes it so that our legs are a little bit more free to have some movement. This movement that we're going to take right here, the arms are like Ivory the Genie. They're just floating here, shoulder height. When we exhale, we're going to try to lift one knee up. Maybe you can touch the hands and then drop it back down. Exhale to touch, inhale to lower. And 3, 2, 1. Good. Drop the arms down. Roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and drop them down. Right away, reverse. Roll the shoulders back up from behind, lifting forward to roll through, and then we round our spine back up. Good. So do that a few more times. Roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down, and then reverse. Back, up, forward, and down. Twice more. Last set. Good. Taking those floating arms again, maybe the second hand is on top. This time we're just focusing on the right leg. What we're going to try to do is lift the right knee up. If that's all that we can do, this is okay. If you'd like to try to muscularly straighten the right leg, bend it back in and then set it down, that's beautiful. Let's actually go ahead and switch them. So left, straighten, touch, and down. Right, left. Perhaps finding a breath that works for us here to make sure we're not holding the breath. Something easy for me is exhale when I lift, inhale, straighten, exhale, bend, inhale, set the foot down. So if that works, take it. If something else works better, that's okay as long as you're breathing and not holding. Let's do one more on each leg. Good. From here, take a block out in front of you or just use the floor. We can lift our right leg up to the block or just extend it straight in front of us. And then slide your right hand down that right leg. That helps us lean forward. We should be feeling a really good hamstring stretch. You're welcome to just stay right here. If it helps your stretch go deeper, you can use the right hand to pick up the right foot and lift the foot up even higher. So you don't have to feel like you have to, just an option if it feels good. Get into your hip for just a moment. I want you to bend the knee back like happy baby pose and just keep on pulling it back for a moment. Yeah, just stay in that nice straight leg stretch for another moment. We'll join you here in just a moment. And then Kay, if you want to rock it out like a little baby cradle for a moment, hitting that hip. Take another maybe 4, 3, 2, 1, and then straighten the leg back out, drop it down, and just take 3 more breaths, trying to reach even deeper than before. Okay. When we rise up, slide the block in front of the left foot and set that left foot up. Same thing, try to get a nice tall posture as we slide the left hand down. Staying here is fine. If you'd like to try the lift, go ahead and head there. And then the half happy baby, knee going backwards, getting pulled. Maybe rocking it out. Beautiful. Release it back onto the block, slide down. You've got 3 more breaths. That third one, rise up. So from here, the legs are going to start spreading wide. This is going to be somewhat like the penguin that we did earlier, going laterally to each side, but we're also including this lean onto the legs. And so the first direction would be right elbow going down. We can simply stop here if this is enough stretch, or if the left arm also wants to join up, maybe over, that's okay. And then when we rise up, gently switch sides. So left hand, left elbow down, and then right hand over. And up. We'll take 3. 2, 1, and then this time drop the right elbow back down and stay. If the left arm is still okay to reach over, go ahead and join that in. Otherwise, hand at the waist will be perfectly fine to help you lean. A nice inhale. Exhale, rise. Take it to the second side. Maybe we're just resting the left elbow down, maybe the right arm joins. Take a moment to try to find the 3-part yoga breath from the lean. One more inhale. And then exhale, rise up. Both hands or both elbows come to the inner parts of the knees to help try to press them open. Getting into the hips. Okay, now when we rise back up, our hands grab the edges of the chair. This next exercise can be done just one foot at a time. If you're doing that, you're going to point one set of toes, bring it to the center, and then return it before you switch sides. Pointing to get to the center and return it. If you're doing both at the same time, it would be like a little hop, and then come to the center, and hop, coming wide. So one foot is totally fine, or both at the same time. Personal preference. Try to work through the articulation of the foot, going through the whole point, all the way to the full, just flat on the ground. Exhales through the lift, inhales when you rest. And 3, 2, 1. Good. Resting back open. This time, place the left foot in front of you. The right foot gets to go long. You'll have a block or the floor that you're traveling down to directly forward, so toward me. If the floor is too much, just grab that block. It'll add a couple of extra inches. Feel how we're getting into the inner thigh just a bit deeper. And then start to walk your hands toward the straight leg, getting that hamstring stretching in just a little bit deeper. Find the hands on the legs to help us rise, and then we can switch it out. So the second leg is long off to the side. The first thing we do is plant the hands forward, maybe block, maybe floor. Feel that 3-part yoga breath, belly, side ribs, collarbones. And start to walk toward the straight leg. Another round of a 3-part breath. And hands come up to the thighs to help us rise. As we come to face forward, this one's going to be another place where you have an option to do both legs at the same time or one leg at once. This will be bicycles. So if you're doing one leg, you lift one knee up, straighten it out, and then circle that foot back down to the ground before you take the second leg. So it's similar to when we were trying to touch the knee before. If you're doing both legs, you have them hover above the ground and just continuously circle. Keep on breathing. Three, 2, 1. Whew, good work. Now heading into a twist for our spine. Our arms will lift up each time we're preparing to twist. They can lift up just to shoulder height, or you can take the inhale floating all the way up to the sky, whatever your shoulders like better. Anytime you exhale, you choose a side to twist to. Have one hand drop on the thigh, one hand drop on the chair to help you spiral the spine. Inhale, again, shoulder height or maybe higher. Exhale, second side. Don't feel like you have to rush, just use your nice slow breath. Once more to each side. And then on this side that you've landed on, just pause for a moment. Try to see if the spine can lift up even taller. And maybe the shoulders can wind a little bit further. Maybe you can imagine bringing the belly button with you into the twist. Maybe the neck twists. Maybe even the eyeballs try to twist, using as far to that direction as you can. Good. Unwind yourself and switch it out. Second side, same thing. Try to lift the spine tall. And then shoulder twists. Maybe belly button joins in. Maybe the neck twists. Maybe the eyeballs gaze as far as they can to this direction. Helping to make sure our eyes, even those little tiny muscles, get a chance to stretch out as well. One more inhale. And exhale, let's return our way back forward. Okay, this next one is challenging. So I'm gonna go for 10. Don't feel like you have to, because it's hard in and of itself. The idea is rising up into fierce pose. So essentially with our inhale, we sweep the arms up and we try to lift just a little bit off the chair and then gently lower back down. You can help yourself by holding on to the chair, using that much strength, or you can just do a couple of reps, just 2, 3, 4, whatever feels okay for your body. So when you're ready, inhale, lift. Try to slowly lower, building that gentle strength. I'm going for my 9th. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Whew, good work. Let's come up to stand. You did awesome. That one's definitely a quad one, so if you felt your thighs kind of burning, that's why. So Kay, you might be able to do this next step without even having a chair at all, so you don't have to use the chair if you don't want to. If you're using it, ours has this taller height, so you'll just go down to hands planted. So that'll just be what it looks like for you. So you'll want to have enough space behind you that you would be able to completely do a kick back. So you'll just check your space, make sure whatever orientation you have, you're good there. But we're just starting off with forearms or with wrists resting onto the chair, and then trying to get our spine to go nice and long. We're going to start a little exercise from here. So if this long position right here is a good place to work from, this is fine. I'll show you two other options you can work from. One would be just resting on elbows. Another could be coming forward to rest hands down. So any of these would be perfectly fine. You're trying to get the spine nice and long, whichever one you choose. And then we're going to kick our right leg back and just feel that nice strength of that right glute working for us. Try to take the right knee in, maybe toward the nose, and then kick it back out long behind you. I'm gonna go for 5 more of those. If you need breaks, don't feel like you have to do all of them. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then rest that right foot down, come back to the flat spine for a moment. Okay, preparing for the second side. If you need to readjust at all, take those adjustments until the left leg can go back. Holding here for another breath. Take a 3-part breath. And then the next exhale brings left knee into the nose. Inhale, stretch it back long. And here is 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back down to flat one more time. And then rising up enough that we can take our block in front of us and drop it down to a nice low height. This will be closer to the chair that we're resting on. Once you've got it there, you're going to lift up the right ball of the foot onto that block. And you'll notice that even tilting a little bit gets you into a really deep calf stretch, so don't feel like you have to go super far, but you will begin to lean forward to the point that your calf is capable of stretching. Take those deep 3-part yogic breaths. And then bend the right knee as you start to shift your weight back up so that you can switch the feet out. Left ball of the foot coming up. Once you've got the placement, start to rest back down any depth that lets you really keep that front leg straight, getting into that calf. And rising up. Here, we're gonna try for a couple of calf lifts. This will build some strength in the calves. You can use the chair to help you balance as you come to step the balls of your feet onto the block. From there, and probably scoot it back from the chair just a little bit so you can balance on it. Oh, okay, perfect. From there, the main thing that we do is try to lower the heels down just a little bit and then try to lift up. So I'm tall enough that I go past my chair, so you can always use the wall, get close to that if you need to. But essentially just nice and slow up and down. See if you can include your breath, that 3-part breath. Three more. Good. After the third one, look off to the side. Using the chair to help with balance, we're taking a tree pose. So standing on one of your feet, just choose a good side. The other one comes up. Maybe it's kickstand, maybe it's an ankle, calf, or maybe up to the thigh. Sometimes there's moments where the hand on the chair can come away. Use it as much as you need. Try to connect with at least one of those 3-part breaths, so very deep inhale. Nice relaxed exhale. And then start to switch out the legs. At least one more, trying to include all 3 parts. Beautiful. Dropping it down. You've got 2 options here. You can either use a block at any height, small, medium, and tall, to lift the right foot up onto and slide down. Or you can use the chair itself to take that same right leg stretch. So it really just depends on how much height you want to include. Get it up to its placement and then start to lean forward, making sure that the chair helps you balance to any extent that you need. Get on your spots. Okay, let's start to rise up and then switch it out. Try to take just one more breath. And then we can rise up. And this last one, before we come sitting down again, really depends on how much flexibility you have through the glutes, the low back, and the hamstrings. The deeper version is to take the arms in cross arm like you're holding your arms, and then setting those arms up clear onto the seat of the chair. You get a nice deep forward fold. If that's a little bit too much, you just use the block or use the top of the chair instead, coming back to that nice flat angle. So try to find a good deep forward fold release. Is that a little bit too much? Are you doing okay?
I'm gonna try.
Okay, sounds good. If you need just a hair more, just scoot up a block. So I'll give you just a couple of inches. So something like this. And try to feel the low back releasing into this. Sometimes I'll even add little wiggles, like my hips just wiggle to kind of help my spine find a good alignment. If that's not helpful, don't take it, but if you like what that does for your vertebrae, that's something you can add on. One more 3-part breath. When the exhale completes, bend your knees and roll your way back up. And we can turn our chair to face back forward, coming back down to sit. We'll do a couple of arm circles. These can just be your arms by themselves, or if you've got 2 blocks, that'll help weigh it down just a little bit. So holding it out to each side. We're gonna aim for 5 large ones. Try to keep the blocks balanced. And then here we go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then try to reverse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Setting the blocks down in front of us. We'll use it in just a moment. But we'll start off first by taking a nice arm stretch. The right arm comes across our body. The left arm hooks around it to pull it in. Try to make sure the shoulder adjusts in a way that helps the stretch. So for me, that means drop the shoulder down or lean the head to the left. Inhale through both arms, opening behind, and exhale, second arm crosses your body, hook around. And make sure you find a good shoulder stretch, whether that means shoulder goes down or maybe head just leans to the right. And again, that nice inhale to open up. Okay, so going back to wide knees, the option 1 is simply come back to where we were, helping the thighs be pressed open by leaning forward. Option 2 is to actually find a block under each foot. It doesn't have to be at the tallest height, but if you're doing it up for that one, to me it helps connect it into the hip socket just a little bit deeper, and so I'm getting just a slightly deeper hip opener. So whatever weight helps your hips open. If you're using those blocks, you might have to readjust a couple of times to find the good placement of the feet. But just start to lean forward, help the arms press the hips open. Neck can be at stillness, or you can roll around just a little bit. Okay, Okay, when we come back up, we'll have our left foot down in front of us. The right foot is either going to be rotating open on a block or coming all the way up to the left thigh, whatever your hip is capable of doing. And the first thing that we'll do is actually take a twist toward the thigh. So the left hand comes to your right thigh, and then the other hand is back on the chair. And just feel the extra hip opening that happens when the hip is like this while we twist. 3-part yoga breath if you lost it. 2 more cycles of that. And then when we return forward, we're going to start leaning forward to get into the hip. So this could mean hands resting on the thigh. It could mean hands resting on the block. You might be at a spot where you even want to bump your left foot up onto the block if that helps you get into the hip deeper. For me, that feels really helpful. So just play with it and then leaning forward from there to get deeper. Another good inhale. Exhale. Gently rising up. Switch the legs out. So right is down now. Left has come up. Ankle onto the right thigh. Once you've got the left ankle up, we're going to take a twist toward that left thigh. Just breathing through some of the tender areas. One more breath in. And then exhale, return forward. Going back into that forward fold, whatever the hip needs. So sometimes just pushing that hip open is fine. Sometimes I bump my foot up to the block and then lean forward. So it's whatever will help that hip open. One more breath in. A nice exhale. Start to release. And if you need a moment of like windshield wipers, knees going left and right, that could be helpful just to loosen up any tight areas we found in the hips. Okay, before we wrap up today, we're going to take a little wrist stretch for each side. So right hand takes a stop sign, and then your left hand grabs all the fingers and the thumb to pull back. Just bringing yourself to a spot where the wrist is stretching very nicely. And as we release, the fingers go down, pull back the other way. One more inhale, 3 parts. Exhale, 3 parts. And release. This hand can open and close, it can roll, or it can shake. Left side, stop sign, and then peel back all the fingers and the thumb. Release, fingers down, and pull back that way. One more inhale, exhale, same type of release. Maybe open and close, maybe roll or shake. Good. So with that release, we're going to find our way into our Shavasana position, whatever that looks like today. It could be just sitting tall in a meditative state. Sometimes I like to even come into cross-legged. That's me personally. Any other laying, sitting, anything that feels good to bring us into a couple of peaceful minutes here. We're going to come into that nice meditative state. Perhaps the first couple of breaths that lead you into the Shavasana is that 3-part breath, taking a full pump of the lungs. And then we'll just be in stillness, letting our body integrate and have rest before we just jump into the next part of our day. Let your next inhale and exhale be extra deep. Take a moment to do a little stretch for the body, whatever feels like you're waking up first thing in the morning. And eventually join the hands together in front of the heart. Feel this connection that we have with our body, brought by the movements, by the breath, just by this wonderful integration that happens with yoga. And so as we travel into the rest of this day, we'll try to travel in a way that is highest, kindest, and most peaceful for our body. So if we're resting after injuries, if there's things that we're recovering from, we make sure to take extra love, extra caution to those areas. Even imagining if we could send breath to those areas. And so with this deep connection to ourselves as we travel onward to lead us into this day, let's wrap up this time we got to share together with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.